Did you know that one of the biggest weight loss myths is that you have to eat less to shed pounds? Well, what if I told you that you could actually eat more and still lose weight? Well, stick around because today I'm going to be sharing some of my best tips on how you can lose weight without starving yourself. Hi, my name is Trudy Stone. I'm a certified culinary nutritionist, and about 10 years ago, I lost 30 pounds and I've managed to keep it off for about 10 years. The best part? I didn't starve myself or give up my favorite foods. Instead, I lost weight in a way that was sustainable using healthy eating habits, and I've been able to keep off the weight. I actually enjoyed the journey and the person that I became along the journey, and I want that for you too. So today, I'm going to be sharing how you can do the same with these game-changing tips. So let's kick things off with a mindset shift, and I have my iPad here for you so that I can take notes for you guys. So the first tip is to change your perception. Focus on all the nutrient-dense foods that you can have. That's going to help you to live a healthier lifestyle. Also, think about the abundance that you'll be adding to your life. You'll be adding more years to your life potentially. You'll be adding more time to spend with your family and your friends and the people that you care about. And if you're looking for some healthy eating inspiration, I have a lot of delicious recipes on this channel that you can check out. Lack of variety in eating healthy is a common roadblock that a lot of people face. But guess what? That's just your perception. The mistaken belief that because you're eating healthy, you still can't enjoy flavorful foods. That eating healthy means sacrificing flavor and excitement. So this misconception can really set you up for failure because then you settle into boredom, and then that means that you fall off of your healthy eating habits. Picture the abundance of healthy fruits that you can enjoy, all the different desserts and recipes that you can whip up with fruits and vegetables and whole grains and healthy fats. And again, if you need some inspiration, I have you covered here on this channel. So eating this way isn't about restriction, it's about fueling your body for longevity. So perception is power. Tip number 2 is don't ignore your cravings. So here's the thing, when we're told that we can't have something, we crave even more of it. In fact, I remember thinking back to a time when I was 16 years old, which was just yesterday, and there was this boy that I wanted to date, but my mom told me that I couldn't date him. But guess what? It just made me want to date him even more. And as a matter of fact, I actually remember sneaking out to still meet up with him anyways. Sorry, Mom. So the same is true when it comes to the foods that we love. If we keep telling ourselves that we can't have them, we're just gonna crave them even more. So instead of banning your favorite foods, just enjoy them in smaller amounts. Remember, balance is key. Tip number 3 is healthy food swaps. One of the biggest reasons that I succeeded in losing weight was because I allowed myself to still enjoy my favorite foods, and I also recreated some of my favorite foods, but in a healthier way. For example, lentils, which I had never eaten before, they actually became my secret weapon. And the reason why is because lentils are a really great source of both protein and fiber. And both of these are gonna actually help to keep you fuller for a longer period of time and also help you to feel more satisfied. So that means that you're gonna be less likely to overeat. Believe it or not, I even include lentils in desserts, like with my chocolate chip lentil blondies. I'm telling you, these are so good. And these are award-winning blondies, by the way, okay? So if you wanna check that out, I'll place a link in the description for you guys. Yes, you heard that right, lentils in a dessert. And they really are proof that indulgence and health can both coexist. This is actually why I created my 5-day Swap It, Don't Stop It challenge. This challenge offers you a more enjoyable approach to eating healthy, and it will also help you to choose tasty, healthier alternatives to your favorite foods so that you don't feel deprived. You're also gonna understand why your cravings happen and how you can manage them once and for all so that you can hit your health goals. Tap the link in the description below to join the challenge today. Tip number 4 is to focus on quality, not quantity. This is a big one. Okay, so here's the thing. Most people think that eating less is what works for weight loss, when really it's about eating more of the right foods. And again, I struggled for years before I finally figured this out. So you wanna focus on fiber-rich foods as well as complex carbohydrates that's gonna make you feel full for a longer period of time. A lot of people are actually deficient in fiber, which is key to losing weight and also key to helping you to feel full and satisfied. When I started adding more high fiber foods into my diet, my cravings decreased dramatically. And again, most people aren't getting enough fiber. So if you only do one thing on this list, let it be this. One of the best and one of the most tasty high fiber foods are raspberries. Raspberries are jam-packed with fiber. In 1 cup, you're gonna get 32% of your your daily reckoned amount of fiber. All right, so let's dig into carbs for a second, because carbs really have become like the evil thing in the whole health and wellness world. So carbs are essential because they're actually your body's main source of energy. So the low carb phenomenon has actually been going on for quite a few years now. And my concern is that it's made people actually afraid to eat things like fruit, which actually has a lot of beneficial nutrients for you. The other thing about eating low carb is that sometimes it actually compels you to buy a lot of those low carb foods, when if you actually look at the nutrition label or the nutrition facts or the ingredient label, you're gonna find there's a lot more harmful ingredients in some of those foods. Not all of them, but in some of them. This is why you have to read labels so closely. So some of these low carb packaged foods can still be really high in unhealthy fats and other damaging stuff that can actually wreak havoc on your health and your weight loss goals. So complex carbs like fresh fruits, quinoa, sweet potatoes, lentils, chickpeas, these are all the things that your body craves. And the reason why is because this is what your brain uses to function properly. Without them, you're likely to feel fatigued and drowsy and just left with little energy. So you just want to make sure that you're avoiding simple carbs. So anything like white rice, white pasta, that sort of thing. The reason why is because a lot of these things like the white pasta, the white rice, they've actually removed everything good from them. So then what happens is you're more likely to have that blood sugar crash. But if you love pasta and if maybe you're looking for a bit of a lower carb version, I want you to check out my chickpea butternut squash mac and cheese. Oh my God, guys, this is so good. It's so rich and it's creamy. It's actually made with chickpea pasta, which again is a really great source of both protein as well as fiber. I'll drop a link in the description so you guys can check that out. All right, so tip number 5 is to eat off of smaller plates. Now I know what you're thinking, what smaller plates? Again, this is another thing that was a game changer for me. And I want to preface this by saying just because this worked for me, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's gonna work for you. But what I can tell you is that for years, I was on this roller coaster of losing weight, gaining it back, losing it and gaining it back. And the tips I'm sharing with you right now really made all of the difference in helping me to lose weight, and also like without feeling like I was starving or depriving myself, and also helped me to develop healthier eating habits so that I could keep the weight off. So all you gotta do is just swap out your regular dinner size plate just for a smaller one. Research actually shows that this can help with portion control and also help you to reduce overeating. It's also still gonna feel like a full meal, especially if you load up that plate with a lot of the things that I talked about earlier. So the cruciferous vegetables, the high fiber foods, the chickpeas, the beans, the lentils, the high sources of protein, even things like chicken and fish as well. Just make sure to load up that smaller plate with all of the good stuff. The next tip is to read food labels. Guys, enough of you just aren't doing this. And this is crucial for eating healthier and even crucial for losing weight. Do you know what's actually in your foods? Things like artificial color, artificial flavor, high sugar, all of these things can derail your health as well as your weight loss goals. Some, not all, but some food companies use very highly deceptive tactics to actually have you keep coming back for more. These foods are called ultra processed foods. They're actually getting a lot more traction and coverage in the media lately, and for good reason. For example, sugar. Sugar can go by over 250 different names on the label, and some food companies are very clever in disguising sugar in products. Sugar goes by so many different names that you wouldn't even recognize. I talk all about this in my course, Sugar Secrets. Sugar is lurking in foods you wouldn't even suspect. Things like condiments, so ketchup, barbecue sauce, even savory foods like crackers, things like bacon. Sugar really is everywhere. I have a whole video dedicated to how to read food labels like a pro, so make sure to go ahead and check that video out. All right, so the next tip is to understand the difference between emotional hunger and true hunger. Okay, so how can you tell the difference between emotional hunger and true physical hunger? Okay, so with physical hunger, it tends to come on more gradually versus emotional hunger. It feels like it needs to be catered to right away in that moment. And typically you also crave certain foods as well. The thing is with emotional eating is that it really is a cycle. So you eat that food, maybe it's that ice cream, and then it makes you feel better temporarily, but then you feel guilty for eating that food. But then you think to yourself, well, I've already had, 2 scoops of it. I might as well just have a third one since I already fell off the wagon. And then it just becomes this vicious cycle that's really hard to break. And if you're an emotional eater, I want you to give yourself some grace and compassion because, hey, I'm an emotional eater too. I've gone through some situations in my life, like devastating losses, that definitely made me turn to food to soothe soothe my emotions. So I get it. It can be a habit that's really hard to break, especially when you're in a very challenging time in your life. And actually, I made a whole video about emotional eating, how to understand the signs, and things you can do to start working beyond that. So also make sure to check that video out as well. I'll place a link in the description so you can check it out. All right, so the next tip is to manage stress. This is a big one. I keep saying this for all of them, but really all of these tips are really so key. And this is another thing that I fell prey to when I was trying to lose weight. So when I was on my weight loss journey about 10 years ago, that was probably one of the busiest times in my life. I had just gotten engaged and I was planning my wedding. That was the reason why I wanted to lose weight. I was working for a company that went through a merger, so the size of the company doubled overnight, which meant that my workload doubled overnight. And I was also working with people in different time zones. If that wasn't enough, I also was going to school part-time in the evenings, and I was sitting on this event for this charity, planning one of the largest charity events in the city. So I had little time to myself, and I was so stressed out, and I was just so frustrated that I was trying to lose weight, but I just had all of these things going on in my life. But here's the thing. Did you know that stress is one of the biggest roadblocks to losing weight? When working with my clients one-on-one, I usually give them a client intake form. And one of the questions I ask them is, on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to rate your stress level, with 10 being like, someone please call 911. And most women put their stress level at an 8. That was the average, 8. So if you're going through a stressful period in your life, or if you feel like you're just carrying stress all the time, you're definitely not alone. But the thing is, just like with emotional eating, when we're feeling stressed out, a lot of us turn to food to soothe our emotions. But some of the foods that you're eating when you're stressed out can actually make your stress worse. So instead, focus on some stress busting activities, things like deep breathing, yoga, or some sort of exercise. Another thing that I do is when I find myself in a stressful period, sometimes I'll just stop and ask myself a question. I'll say, okay, what is it that you're feeling right now? Just put some words to it, put some language to it, and then ask yourself, what is it that I need in this moment? Because a lot of times we're just checking out boxes and we're just going through our life without actually stopping and pausing and asking ourselves some questions. And I really do believe that the quality of life comes down to the questions that you ask yourself. So the next time you're feeling stressed out, just take a beat, just pause and just ask yourself those questions that I asked earlier. And if you want to take your health and your weight loss to the next level, make sure to check out my next video where you'll learn how to read food labels like a pro.